All right, so if you're expecting Kyle, I'm sorry. And I'm definitely not Michael Ray. So, this class might be a little more different than some of the classes you've had here at Southside. I like how Dawn described the way I moved around the room. How did you say it, Dawn?
360 degrees.
360 degrees. So, surround sound. I don't know if it's nerves, and I can't stand in one spot for very long, but I tend to walk a lot. This class is going to, of course, be about evolution. And I know that Kyle, being a preacher and just a guy who can just consume a lot of information without having to have notes and stuff, I'm not like that. I wish I could be like that, just spout out a lot of information. So I'm going to have PowerPoints, and Ms. Carol, we're going to do our best to describe what's.
Okay, thank you.
We're going to do our best to describe what's going on in these PowerPoints. I have a lot of questions, and so I'm going to need input. I do have two science teachers in here.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Mr. Aaron and Mr. Jonathan will be glad
And I
to.
know Elijah, he's done his research on evolution as well. He's actually written some papers on evolution, the faults of evolution. So I had some really experienced people in here, and so that's good for me. I know Kyle mentioned Sunday that I knew a lot about evolution. I probably couldn't touch what Aaron and Jonathan know, maybe even Elijah did. So together, hopefully, we'll learn more about what evolution is and some of the faults of evolution, so to speak. But before we begin, Aaron is going to lead our minds in the class.
Heavenly Father, we're so thankful to you for the day you have blessed us with and the opportunity to be able to come together and to study. We ask that you be with us this evening, that we will have open and receptive minds to those things that are taught about evolution and the fallacies of it, so that we might be better equipped when we go out into the world to be able to refute the false beliefs that so many people have, so that we might be able to win souls to you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. All right, so we're going to start with critical thinking. Which is easier to believe, Ms. Carol? Would it be nothing created something, the universe, or in the beginning God created? Which one of those is easier to believe?
For me?
Or in general? Nothing created something?
Nothing created something.
That makes more sense?
No,
Oh.
in general, not to me.
Okay.
Not to me.
Would everyone agree that it would be easier to believe that God created versus we had something from nothing? I think you're right. So we have a lot of isms that we're going to try to describe tonight. So can you give a brief description of the following isms? So the first one is atheism. What is atheism?
They do not believe in...
Without God.
Without God.
Yes.
Do not believe in a God, right?
Right.
That's atheism. What about agnosticism?
Skeptical? Yeah. Could go either way.
On the fence. You neither hot or cold. You're on the fence. You neither believe in God or you don't believe in God. You don't know if there's enough information for there to be a God, so you can't. You're on the fence. It's like being lukewarm. What about this one? Creationism.
Believe in a creator of some kind.
Believe in a creator. Okay. Darwinism.
Subscription to the belief in evolution.
That's what I thought.
I think you're right. Darwinism would be, we know we're going to talk a lot about Charles Darwin in this class. And so Charles Darwin came up with some kind of theory on how life began and how it's produced all these different species of animals and plants. And so Darwinism would be a belief in evolution. What about humanism?
It's kind of a secular kind of twist on everything revolves around like people, not God.
Yeah, it's not. It just like Elijah said, it revolves around people. People are basically the ones that have the highest intellect. And so they don't believe in a God as well. They're their own God.
Okay.
They're their own God, basically. What about materialism?
Is that akin to naturalism, or is that a separate ism?
Well, it could probably be combined. And I have naturalism also.
Okay.
And when we get to naturalism, we can just say it's part of materialism.
Okay.
That's basically,
Would be along the lines of, as that there's no existence other than what we have here and now, and once we're dead, that's it.
it's whatever we see, it's whatever we can visualize, that's all there is. There's no transcendent God. There's no, there's no soul. It's whatever we see, it's whatever we have, that's it. There is nothing else. Naturalism is in the same realm as materialism. You have an Aaron, you look like you might have something more. Nature is basically, in a sense, a lot of people who are naturalists, they kind of, in a sense, worship nature. They worship nature. And then,
But, Mr. Bellwood,
Sure.
how did they figure out how it got here?
that goes back to Darwinism.
Darwinism. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
All of these different isms, except for one, would believe in Darwinism.
Okay, that's the basis. Okay.
Would that be probably correct? Creationism would be the one ism that would not believe in Darwinism. Does that make sense? Secularism. We hear this all the time. We're becoming a secular country. You hear that in the news a lot. We're a secular country. What does that mean? Without God in it. All right? So if you live in a secular country and we're becoming more secular, that means we're becoming more without God. Now, which one of these is not like the others? Remember the old Sesame Street? You'd have a banana and an apple and an orange and a shoe. And you were to pick out which one isn't like the others. It would be the shoe, Miss Carol. So, out of all these isms, which one is not like all the others? Creationism, of course. Creationism would be the only ism that would believe in a God. And how is creationism different? Well, I think I just said that, right? All right. Now, all of these are called what views? Worldviews. What is a worldview? What is a worldview? We all have a worldview. Elijah has a worldview. Don has a worldview. Miss Carol, you have a worldview. You know what your worldview is? I think I do. I think Jonathan knows too. What would be Miss Carol's worldview?
Christian worldview,
Christian.
Yeah, Christian worldview.
based on truth.
Based on Christ, right? That's your worldview.
Okay.
I'd say everyone in this room has that worldview. Now, if we think about secular worldview, would that be a worldview based on believing in God? No, not at all. Not at all. So why could a worldview be dangerous?
No basis on truth. I mean, just if you approach it from a secular standpoint, if you don't have a central truth, then a worldview could be dangerous in that it's untruth. It's not the real deal. It's not based on reality.
So I'm going to bring this up if I have time. If I have time, not today, maybe Sunday or maybe the following Wednesday if Kyle's still away. And I'm going to talk about what's going on in the public school system as far as different worldviews. Do you think the public school system teaches a certain worldview? Jonathan knows, Aaron knows, yes it does. And it's not going to be creationism worldview. all these isms. And so it's kind of important that we know that the worldview of teachers and administrators and just friends that are in the world, their worldview is going to be a little different. And we need to know what that worldview is and how to combat it. Does that make sense? That makes sense. Okay. Who wants to read this? Thank you, Jonathan.
Many, Lord my God, are the wonders you have done, the things you planned for us. None can compare with you. Were I to speak and tell of your deeds, they would be too many to declare. Psalm 4:45.
Who wants to read this?
When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars, which you have ordained, what is man that you are mindful of him, the son of man that you visit him? Psalm 8, verses 3 and 4.
And one last one. For since the creation of the world, his invisible attributes are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead. Romans 1:20. All those isms except creationism would not believe in this. Yet, what's this verse say?
Nature's evidence of the existence of God.
And they're without, if you follow this to the following verses in Romans, what does it say?
They're without excuse.
They're without excuse, Ms. Carol, right? They're without excuse. So weighing evidence. We're going to be doing a lot of weighing evidence in the next few weeks, and of course with Kyle coming back, I guess, for the rest of the quarter. So one side, Ms. Carol, of the scale, I have a scale up there. And it's weighing the evidence. And one side, the right-hand side, says no design, mindless, accident, non-living, purposeless, randomless, chance, and chaos. What do you think that might apply to? All those different... The isms. I agree, except for the one. All those isms would believe in this. Minus what? Minus the Creator. Does that make any sense? What about the other side, Miss Carol? The other side says design, mind, deliberate, living, purposeful, intentional, reason, and order. What do you think that might apply to? Creationism, right? Or God. Mind. And we're gonna look at evidences of our universe, our world, all the different life species, and we're gonna see a lot of these different adjectives when it comes to describing them. So what evidence is there that shows how life began? What evidence? What evidence shows that how life began? What evidence shows how life began? Jonathan's racking his brain. Aaron's taking notes. This is a trick question. It's a trick question, Don. No one, including scientists, knows how life began on Earth. There is no evidence on how it began. None whatsoever. So, where do we see life happening today? Here?
Yeah.
Everywhere. Right? So what does this mean? What might this mean? And I have accept all answers with everything. So let's go back. So there's no evidence of how life began on Earth. Scientists have racked their brains for many, many thousands of years trying to find out how life began. They can't do it even today with all their scientific instruments. But yet we see life happening everywhere. What does this mean?
Genesis 1:1.
Miss Carol, that's a good answer. Genesis 1:1. There had to be,
Of the beginning.
we go back to that scale with all the different adjectives, mind, order, purpose comes to mind, that it seems that maybe, just maybe, there's been a creator that's played a part in all the life we have. All right. So nobody knows how life began, because life has never once been observed to just begun, nor has any scientist been able to create life ever. Ever. Not even a single simple cell. Right? Not even a little bitty simple single cell, which is so simple, right? Cells are so simple, Elijah, right? Not too much going on in a little bitty cell. You know our bodies are made of a few cells. Does anybody know the number of cells in our body?
It's a few trillion.
It's about 7 trillion. 6 or 7 trillion. Is that
For the ballpark, it's a bunch.
That's a bunch of cells. That's a bunch of cells in our body that all just somehow know how to work. It's crazy. And can we see a single cell?
Not without help.
Not without help. Like a microscope. I was going to say a telescope now. I think that's the wrong scope. I used to do it with my kids. I think we can catch it. Anyway. So how did life begin on Earth? So what evolutionists or Darwinists believed? More than 3 billion years ago, Miss Carol, a major change was made on Earth, whereby a thin spinning pot of simple chemical soup, or what's that word? Primordial soup, made a critical step towards creating, and I got this from a science book, okay? Elijah, towards creating the building blocks of life. Now,
Primordial.
yeah, say,
Primordial.
yeah, primordial.
Yeah.
Go ahead and give the rest of the definition, just so we all know.
Primordial soup is an ocean that when Earth was young, the oceans were filled with simple chemicals important for life.
Of course, scientists know that for a fact, right? Aaron, how come? You're shaking your head no.
There's no evidence that actually happened.
You're saying there weren't scientists there 3 billion years ago to take a sample of what is
Primordial.
primordial soup? Do you think they had alphabet soup in those days?
Probably not.
The simple chemicals became amino acids, the fundamental building blocks of the more complicated protein molecules. These proteins then, I love how it says this, Ms. Carroll, it says, somehow came together. Again, I got this from a science book. They somehow came together to form a single primitive cell. Somehow they just came together. It's like all these different chemicals say, hey, let's all get together. We could probably make a living thing. So there's 4 theories, and there might be more. I think I have all 4. 4 theories on the origin of life outside of God. There could be more. Jonathan and Aaron, Elijah may know more, but these are 4. Theory 1 is started with an electric shock or spark. It says lightning might have provided the spark needed for life to begin. I think that's the most common.
That's to do with the primordial soup, and that was
Yeah.
they jump started.
Yeah, jump started. Yeah, it's all these little chemicals, and they're swimming around together, and then outside a lightning strike, and you have first single cell. Now, of course, scientists have conducted experiments, and they've done this in the laboratory, right? No, no, Miss Carroll, they have not. Theory number 2: life began at deep sea vents. The deep sea vent theory suggests that life may have begun at undersea hydrothermic vents spewing. The rocky nooks could then have concentrated these molecules together to form the first cell. That's another theory.
And the cells just got together.
They kind of got together again. They got together and voila, they're there. Third theory, life had a chilly start. It says ice might have covered the oceans 3 billion years ago. This layer of ice might have protected fragile organic compounds in the water below from ultraviolet light and destruction from cosmic impacts, because evidently scientists believe that it was kind of crazy 3 billion years ago when the Earth was first formed. It's basically, I think the whole Earth was like molten lava, and you had meteors and maybe small asteroids just pounding the Earth, and it was just total chaos. Of course, I think there's a YouTube video showing all of this happening. Jonathan? No?
I don't know.
Not 3 billion years ago. Now, they might have some kind of representation of what they think happened, but nobody was there filming this all happening 3 billion years ago. That was my point. Yes. All right, and who wants to read the fourth theory? Thank you, Jonathan.
Theory 4. Life was brought here from elsewhere in space. Perhaps life did not begin on Earth at all, but was brought here from somewhere elsewhere in space. Martian meteorites have been found on Earth that some researchers have suggested brought bacteria over here, potentially making us all Martians originally. However, even if this concept were true, the question of how life began on Earth would only change to how life began elsewhere in space.
Believe it or not, a lot of scientists, they're kind of giving up on trying to find out how life began on Earth, and they're going with this theory because that way they don't have to really do that much research, because they're not going to be going to all these different places in the universe to figure out if there's life there. They can just say, oh, it came on a meteor, and there you go. Someone's making a lot of money just to have that theory. However, in a nutshell, Ms. Carroll, consider this. Scientists admit, they still don't even have a good definition of how life began. So there you go, after all that. So, what evidence shows that life began? I think I have the answer. Oh, I think I have the answer there already. Ms. Carroll, the answer's up there. What evidence shows that life began? We are living today. We're here today, so life had begun. Yeah, Ms. Carroll, there's a picture, and who wants to describe what that picture is showing? Elijah?
Sort like fish, the amphibians, and reptiles, instead of mammals.
So there's a hierarchy. We're going to talk about the hierarchy of Darwin's evolution, and it started with this amoeba, this single-celled organism, and somehow it turned into a fish, a primitive fish, but then it became more complex, and then somehow it grew some legs. The fish grew some legs. It became an amphibian, and this amphibian eventually started to turn into a reptile. Dinosaurs, right? And the dinosaurs, or maybe the smaller reptiles, became birds. Somehow they grew wings all of a sudden, bone structure for wings. And then these flying birds or creatures eventually became mammals. And then there's the hierarchy of the mammals and the different stages of primitive Homo sapiens, I guess you could say, until we have what we have today. So that's what that is showing there. Now, what is the difference in abiogenesis and biogenesis? Abiogenesis and biogenesis.
Well, abiogenesis would be life comes from non-life, the primordial soup.
Okay. And so that's abiogenesis means coming from non-life. Biogenesis would be coming from life, right? So abiogenesis means, well, A means non. So A means non. So Genesis means life origins. So if you put that together, it basically means that life came from non-life origins. And we have another hierarchy of the single cell and all the way down to humans once again. And over here we have these chemicals, and then the chemicals got together and created some kind of single-celled organism. That would be abiogenesis. Whereas biogenesis biogenesis is a theory that life comes from other life. Exactly. Biogenesis means life comes from other life. So we have up here a little chick being hatched out of a shell, and I think Kyle mentioned this on Sunday. You know, evolutionists can't answer which came first, the chicken or the egg. I don't think any. I think we can answer that. I think God probably created the first chicken that laid the first egg, and then we had a continuation of that. And I'm very thankful for that, Miss Carol, because you know chickens lay eggs every day. Is that crazy or what? They lay an egg every single day.
I can eat them.
I could too, and I do every morning. All right. Abiogenesis or biogenesis. Which of the two do we see every day, and which of the two have we never seen?
We see biogenesis every day.
We see life coming from life every single day, right? What about abiogenesis? Do we see life coming from non-life? Have we ever seen that? We've never seen it. All right, now I have up here, what's the difference in a fact and a theory? So what's a fact and what's a theory?
That's when theories can prove to be like.
Okay. Yep. Well, what's some facts going on right now in this room? Let's go around and walk across the room. Is that a fact that Mr. Bellwood or Robbie is walking across the room? How do you know that?
We can see it.
You can see it, right? You can observe that, of course.
I can hear you.
Which is an observation, right? You're using your five senses. A theory, on the other hand, is, Elijah said it, right? So in essence, theories are ideas that we need to test further, while facts have been proven to be true. In science, a fact typically refers to an observation. Miss Carol heard me. That's an observation. A measurement or other form of evidence that can be expected to occur the same way under similar circumstances. So I can come back here and walk past Miss Carol again because we're still in this class, and she can hear me. She can probably feel the wind
As you pass.
as I pass. Now what we have here is again some kind of a hierarchy of a monkey and then the different monkeys, and it eventually becomes a man. And it says below, is this artist's understanding of human evolution based on fact or fiction? It is fiction, right? Fiction. Nobody in the history of observations has ever seen this happen. Okay? So again, this goes back to maybe a theory, but it's definitely not a fact. Well, this is what this textbook says, Miss Carol. It's a 2000 textbook, but it may still be in circulation today, this particular quote. And it says, by this evolutionist evidently, it says, evolution is fact, not theory. Birds arose from non-birds and humans from non-humans. No person who pretends to any understanding of the natural world can deny these facts, any more than he or she can deny that the earth is round, rotates on its axis, and revolves around the sun. And this is Richard. Jonathan, what's that last name?
Levinson.
Okay, that's close enough. I can't pronounce the last name, Miss Carol. It's Richard somebody.
Okay.
Is this would this be a quote from an evolutionist today? Would this be like what I'm looking for? Unlikely quote or a likely quote? Do you think a lot of evolutionists, Darwinists, all those isms, believe that evolution is a fact? Elijah, what do you think? They do. They think it's a fact. They think that we're going back to this picture with the ape turning into a man.
Where are the ones that we find that show all that?
The transitional?
Yeah.
Don, where are those transitional fossils of these different transitions
I
of?
did anthropology in the UK in the early 60s. And Cro-Magnon man was a fact.
It's a fact, right? Until it wasn't.
Proven to be a fraud.
It was a fraud, wasn't it? Most of these fossils that say they're transitions from maybe a lizard to a bird eventually turn out to be frauds. Because evolutionists are trying to find something to prove their theory, and they haven't found anything. Really. All right, so what makes something true? Truth can be known. It says truth can be known. All truth is absolute. Belief or passion does not make something true. Contrary, say that word, John. Contrary, there you go. Truths are not possible. Therefore, you can't have a square circle. And A equals A, and it cannot equal a none. Now, if we take this with this class, are there contrary thinking in this room when it comes to the origins of life? In this room and out this room. Are there two? There's two theories, right? We're going to be talking about two theories when it comes to origins of life. We've got the theory of evolution, and I'm going to refer to God's creation. I'm going to use it in another sense, the sense I used to use it at the public school system that I used to teach at, and I got permission I could do this. It's very rare, Miss Carol. A lot of principals wouldn't let me do this, but since I was in the public school system, I couldn't use the word God or creationism or anything that pertains to the Bible as the public school system. I couldn't endorse a religion. But I could use, what do you think, Aaron? What could I use?
All intelligence.
Intelligent design. I could use that, and I did. So, if contrary truths are not possible, then you can't have intelligent design and you can't have mindless matter just forming life. That's contrary. You can't have that. To be truth, we're talking about truth, absolute truth. Can everyone have their own truth?
They think they can.
They think they can, but can they? Can they have their own truth? All truths, now bear with me on this, okay? There's going to be a question at the bottom. All truths are based on personal beliefs. A personal truth is just that, a truth as it occurs to a single person. A universal truth is when an overwhelming majority of personal truths are in agreement. Is evolution a personal truth? Yes. To those who believe it, it's a personal truth. Is it a universal truth? Well, it could be if enough personal truths agree on it, it would then become a fact. Now, there's a problem with this statement. What is the problem with this statement? Not everybody agrees. We don't agree with that, right?
How many personal truths?
How many personal truths? What's the number? What's the you call it when you have a lot of the what?
Consensus.
The consensus, right? You have to have a certain number for a consensus, right? Like in this room, we'd have to have majority, I guess. Does the majority's personal truth trump overwhelming evidence for an opposing point of view? Does the majority's personal truths trump overwhelming evidence for an opposing point of view? It doesn't. Of course not. Majority doesn't rule when it comes to truth. We know that today our world that's becoming more secular, they believe in certain things. They believe that men can be women or women can be men, and they believe that that's their personal truth, and a lot of people are starting to come on board with that. And so if you eventually, and I don't think this will ever happen, I hope not in my lifetime, that the majority of people in this country believe that that's a good thing, that's okay, does that make it true? Of course not. There's biology. There's cannot be determined by a vote or committee. Truth is absolute. Following statements are from two Darwinists. The scientists, and this is from Darwinists, scientists use the term fact to refer to Darwin's evolution because it's been confirmed so many times that there is no longer a compelling reason to keep testing it or looking for additional examples.
False.
Exactly. It is false, Ms. Carroll. Here's another Darwinist. The past and continuing occurrences of evolution is scientific fact. We see it all over the place. It has to be fact. Because the evidence supporting it is so strong, scientists no longer question whether biological evolution has occurred and is continuing to occur. Instead, they investigate the mechanisms of evolution, how rapidly evolution can take place, and related questions. Again, is evolution scientific fact? Yes and no. Now, we're going to be talking about two different types of evolution. I'm not sure if that's the next slide. It could be. It's going to be in a slide that follows. Okay, we're going to be talking about two types of evolution, Ms. Carroll. Because that answer or that question I was asked, is evolution true? Yes and no. And I'll come back to that. Okay. So, give two examples of things that are true in the universe. There's all kinds of things, right? They're true in the universe. You can talk about the theological argument, all the different things that are true in the universe. Gravitational pull, right? You talk about the weak and strong atoms, right? You can talk about the magnetic field in the core of the Earth. You can talk about Bernoulli's principle, how airplanes fly. Fast-moving fluid creates low pressure. All these different things, I guess you consider true. I have just two things. Ms. Carroll, can matter, mass, and energy, can that be created or destroyed on Earth or anywhere in the universe? Can mass, matter, and energy be created or destroyed? Can your
That's my recorder.
Is it? Can that be destroyed?
Yes.
Can the matter in that be destroyed? Aaron disagrees. Aaron, why do you disagree that the matter in that recorder can't be destroyed?
Because you can't create or destroy atoms or matter. It can change form.
Okay.
You can turn the recorder into dust, but it would still, the atoms that make it up would still exist.
Yeah, we can destroy that. It wouldn't work anymore. But the matter, the atoms that make that up, cannot be destroyed or created anywhere. Mass cannot be destroyed or created. Energy, the energy from the sun, they say, our sun is middle-aged. It means it's a little younger than me because I'm past middle age. It might be Jonathan's age. I think the sun is around 40 years old. They say it only has about 40 more years to exist. I'm kidding, because the sun is supposed to be how many billions of years? Like 5 billion, 6 billion, I don't know, some kind of number like that. So it's middle aged, which means it still has 3 billion years to but it eventually will what? It'll burn out. All right? So energy cannot be created or destroyed. Jonathan does a unit in his class. I used to do a unit in my class, how energy isn't destroyed, but it can be transferred into other energies. Like the battery is chemical energy, and you use that in a recorder, and eventually the energy in that battery is transformed into sound, or it can be heat. But eventually the energy in that battery is no longer there, but it's going to be transferred into other energy. And most likely the end result of all energy is what? The end result of all the different transfers of energy ends up to be this. And I'm doing it right now because I'm sweating. Heat energy, right? Heat energy. But it's not destroyed. It's just in our atmosphere now. So, yes or no, can this, We said no, it's against the law to do that. You can't destroy or create matter, mass, or energy. So, it's truth, right? When has new matter or energy ever been created or destroyed naturally in the history of time? That would be never. Never. Now, being a believer in God, I believe that God created all matter, mass, and energy. And is God part of that mass, matter, and energy? He's not, right? He is outside. He's outside time, he's outside matter, he's outside all these different dimensions. He is outside because he is the creator. So that is truth. Here's one more example. Has life ever been observed to come from non-life? And we talked about this a while ago. And that would be, of course, abiogenesis. That's never been seen. Never. Never been seen. So the truth is this. Life has only come from life. Life, Jonathan. Frankenstein. That's biogenesis, of course. Life comes from life. Now, if you're an evolutionist, a Darwinist, a humanist, a naturalist, all those lists or isms, they believe in abiogenesis. They believe that somehow life came from non-life. They have to. Because, Ms. Carroll, they don't put God in the equation, ever. They never want to put God in the equation. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. All right, logical truth. What does logical truth mean to you? I'm just going to go ahead and go forward. It says, logic leads from one point to another within its own self-connected system. Logic. Logic. Is logic made of matter? No. Is it made of mass? No. Is it made of energy? No. Logic is truth is a fact. Truth is a location. Logic is a map. Does that make sense? Truth is a location. Logic is a map. So you have this map that you want to get to. Truth is the location you're going.
Logic leads to truth.
Logic leads to truth. Now, when you listen to debates, I know Elijah likes to listen to debates with apologists versus atheists. Both sides will use logic. Both sides will use logic. And most of the debates I've watched, the apologists, they use the logic in a very logical way, but the atheists, their logic doesn't make sense. Their logic doesn't make sense. So if logic is sound and based on truth, all conclusions reached by logic should be true. Right? You said what, Aaron? All
Logic leads to truth.
Leads to truth. So, if things can't just come into existence, from nothing, then logic dictates there must be a cause for the universe. A cause for the universe. The Big Bang. Something doesn't come from nothing. That's what scientists have to believe in the Big Bang. That something came from nothing. There was nothing. There was nothing. There was what they call a singularity, Ms. Carroll. They think a singularity. A singularity is like a little bitty dot. It's like the end of a pencil. Very, very small. And in that singularity, Ms. Carroll, guess what there was? All the energy, all the mass, and all the matter in the universe in that little singularity. And then science book says, then something happened. Then something happened. All that matter, energy, and mass just exploded, become our universe. But before that, it was nothing. Nothing always produces nothing. Logic. If things can't just come into existence from nothing, then logic indicates there must be a cause for the existence. And this is called cause and effect. Cause and effect. Every effect has a cause. Every effect. When we do experiments, we always have a hypothesis, and in the hypothesis is an if-then. If I walk across the room, then Miss Carol's going to hear me. Cause and effect, right? I walk across the room, cause the effect, Miss Carol hears me. Who wants to read this? This is one of these arguments that apologists like to use, and it makes a lot of logic.
Is it Kalam?
It's the Callum.
Callum?
The Callum.
The Callum cosmological argument.
Listen to this, Miss Carol. This is pretty cool.
Number one, everything that begins to exist has a cause. Number two, the universe began to exist. Number three, therefore the universe has a cause.
Therefore, the universe, everything that has ever existed had a cause. The universe is here. Therefore, it had a cause. Something caused it. Something caused the universe. What was that something? We all know in this room. But evolutionists, Darwinists, humanists, naturalists, they don't believe it. All right, I think that's all I have. It is because that's second bell, right?
Uh-huh.
All right, I hope you got something out of this class. We'll start here on Sunday. If Kyle come back, we'll talk about the two theories that explain how life began. Yeah. All right, thank you.
Thank you.